Hey, welcome back to Montana Garage. Thanks for stopping by for Roll Bar 101. Let's see what we got and get this bad boy installed. Okay, full disclosure, it's more like Roll Bar 001 because I'm not like a professor trying to teach somebody how to do this. I've never done it, and 001 is a good number because this will be the 00 roll bar I've installed. Again, I'm not necessarily trying to teach anybody how to do this. If you want to just follow along and you'll see how I do it and just kind of figure it out as I go. I have a grinders, a welder, a basic knowledge of how that stuff works. I've watched other YouTube videos. I have the NHRI rulebook, so I kind of know what I got to do. I've never done it before. So I'm going to struggle through, and if you want to follow along, maybe you'll get some pointers of what to do, or more likely some pointers of what not to do if you ever try to do this yourself. My first and maybe obvious recommendation is maybe don't try to do it yourself. This is obviously a safety thing, a roll bar or a roll cage. I'm doing a roll bar. There's a difference between a roll bar and a roll cage. This car is probably never going to be fast enough to actually even require a roll bar, let alone a roll cage. But I'm kind of going for the race car look, and I do hopefully someday want to make it fast enough. So NHRI regulations, I believe, I'm not, don't quote me on this. Things could change or could be wrong, but I believe faster than 1150, you need a roll bar, and then faster than 10 seconds, this is quarter mile stuff, you need a roll cage. So I hope to someday be able to run in the 10s, so I would need the roll cage at that point. In this build, small block Chevy, it's not going to be fast enough to even meet the 1149 restrictions, but I'm kind of going for the race car look. Like I said, if this was going to be a super fast car or just even faster than it is, I would have a professional do this and recommend you do the same. But, I'm going to take my chances, try to figure it out myself. So what we're doing is an 8-point roll cage. Excuse me. See, I screwed up already. What we're doing is an 8-point roll bar. It's not a roll cage, it's a roll bar. It'll be a lot like what I have here in the 57 sedan delivery. I obviously didn't install this one because, like I said, this one that I'm doing is going to be my first one. But this will be the general look of what we're going for. We got the main hoop, door bars, down bars in the back. I know it's kind of dark in here. And then these, I believe, are called the D bar. It's just like another bar that stabilizes the roll bar kind of at an angle to kind of, sturdy things up a bit. So that's similar to what we're trying to build. It'll be slightly different in that these, I don't know the proper term for the rear down bars. That might be it, might not be, I don't know. In the 55, I'm going to try to keep the back seat. So they have a little bit of a bent bar that will go through the package tray rather than this straight shot down. And I'm gonna make one of the door bars swing out because, again, I'm gonna try to keep the back seat. And can you imagine if there's a back seat in here, you'd have to be a contortionist to get back there. So with having one of these door bars swing out and then the seats will fold forward, kids at least, or somebody, if I needed to, somebody could crawl back into the back seat. So that's what we're going for. All right, so I'm starting with the kit that I ordered. Again, 8-point roll bar kit. This is from Chris Alston Chassis Work. They're somewhere out in California, I believe. I ordered this maybe a month, maybe 5 weeks ago. I've had it for a couple days, so it takes a bit to get it. There's a couple options they give you, but it's just basically a general kit. It is designed for a 55 to 57 Chevy, so the main hoop is bent in such a way that, that's designed for this. I ordered the bent rear struts or rear bars that will go through. I guess I'm going to show you instead of tell you, but one of them's laying in here because I tried to figure out how it goes. It's going to go up along the roof and then down through the package tray, which again will hopefully allow me to keep the back seat. So we got 2 of those. In this box we have 2 different size tubes. The 2 smaller tubes are ones for they're called the D bar. That's the little bar that goes down to the floor next to the main hoop. And then one of these will be it's called the back brace. Anyways, it goes across the main hoop, and then that's where your safety harnesses will attach. And then 2 of these are for the door bars. And then I have 2 more. They still sent me the back struts or whatever that would go diagonal straight down through the back seat. So I paid extra to get the bent ones, and then I guess what they do, instead of taking because this is just a box all packed up, probably all set to go, they just give you both. So I have 2 extra bars, and then I have the pieces to make just one of the door bars swing out. I'm probably gonna do the passenger side because, I'm kind of building a race car. I don't mind crawling over the little door bar to get in the car. That's how the 57 is. It's not a big deal to me. Of course, I'm not getting any younger. It might be a big deal someday, but I'm gonna make, I think, the passenger side swing out or removable, so that way if I got passengers, they don't have to deal with that. And then, like I said, that'll make it so somebody can get in the back seat. That's my theory. I might change that decision before I get to that point, but that's what I'm starting with, and let's start trying to figure it out. One thing I forgot to show you that they give you, or a couple things. Forgot a couple things. Underneath all these tubes here, is some flat plate. These are 6-inch, I haven't taken them out of there, but 6x6 plates, and it looks like they're, you know, mostly taken apart, but still kind of held together by some little tabs. So those are for welding to the floor, and then your bars weld to that. But however, I have a 55 Chevy. It's a full frame car. And again, everybody does this different ways. I've watched, you know, a bunch of different videos, and a lot of people use the floor plate. And in a lot of cars, that's the right way. In a full framed car, the NHRA rule book says the roll bar has to attach to the frame. On a 55, the frame is a little narrow. So here's the frame rail. Obviously the edge of the car is way out here. So the main hoop goes out close to the edge of the car, and then they give you this piece of 2x3 box tubing to make Outriggers, they're called. I'm not going to be using the floor plates. I'll be going to the frame. I'm not 100% certain. I know the main hoop has to go to the frame. I threw that bent strut in here, and I'm not sure it's going to be long enough to get through the floor and into the frame, so we may have to plate that. And the door bars, I'm going to try to go to the frame. It's going to get a little tricky to do that. That's how the 57 is. Hopefully they're all going to go to the frame, and I think that's the right way. But I think perhaps, again, I'm not an expert at this, so maybe I'm wrong and I should ask more questions, but said I'm going to try to make sure they all go to the frame. But I think maybe the only one that has to go to the frame is the main hoop. I don't know. So the first problem that arises, or not really a problem, just the first thing to figure out while trying to install this roll bar is, where does this damn thing go in the car? I mean, obviously it goes right here behind the seats, and I want it pretty much hidden behind this, I guess it's called the B pillar. You know, I'm a floor guy, I'm a tile guy. We try to make things nice and square. And usually you got like a flat or square wall or a doorway or another flooring transition that you measure off of. And then everything's based off of that. Well, in a car here, there's like nothing flat or straight, or there's no real good thing to measure off of, you know, to try to figure out where you're at. So what I came up with, and I don't know if this is right or wrong or whatever, but that's what I've done so far. As you see, I got my little handy dandy laser out here, and I got a line shooting across the floor, basically just from the edge of the door jamb to edge of the door jamb. So that supposedly is like a straight line from there to there, and then it's really hard to see because, you know, I used a black Sharpie on a black floor, but then I just drew a line right here, right where the laser is on each side, because I mean the roll bar is going to end up in this area as far as side to side. So now I have a reference point from each side. Now that's just kind of flush with this, so then I haven't exactly figured out what I'm going to do yet. It looks like, you know, this pillar is a little wider than the roll bar. The roll bar is 1 3/4 round tubing. This ends up about 2 inches thick, at least it looks like. So I can scoot back from this line at least the half the thickness of the tubing, and then plus a hair more to come up with where I start. And then it's hard to figure out, you know, you probably in a perfect world the roll bar would be, you know, level straight up and down, but there's nothing level on the car. I mean, right now I have it, you know, it's on jack stands in the back and it's on these ramps in the front, and it's higher than it's going to be sitting. To me, it's probably nose high right now. But if I put a level on here, you know, this tells me, according to the pillar here, the front end needs to come down to get that level. If I put the level up here, that tells me the front end needs to come up. If I put it on the rocker, it tells me the front end needs to come up. So nothing's, again, nothing's square, nothing's level, nothing's flat. So rather than worry about making this roll bar or the main hoop, you know, plumb up and down, I'm just going to follow probably whatever angle this pillar is. We'll figure out where the bar is going to be on the bottom. Obviously I got to measure side to side and figure out that spot where the hole is going to be cut. You know, laying it forward and backward, I can just do that. The big thing is figuring out where to cut the dang hole. So that's what I'm trying to get started now. That's how I'm doing it. I'll do a few more measurements and come back when hopefully I know where it's going to go. Then you guys, make sure you leave a comment, you guys that know how to do this, because I'm going to be done by the time you see this, but then I'll know for next time, like, what's the right way? What's the better way? How should a guy do this? I'm just kind of making it up as I go. I've seen, you know, other YouTube videos and stuff, but a lot of them don't go through explaining this part. The instructions don't say anything about this part. I guess you just got to, like me, come up with a way to do it. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's going to come in here with a level later and then check it all out, I hope. If you do, it's going to be close enough. That's what I'm going for. Now I am inside the car. And if you can see that laser, I got the laser now set so it finds its own level. So this is the laser is a plumb line. So you can see the door jamb isn't perfectly plumb, like I mentioned out there. The line is right there here, and it's pretty even up here at the top. It's hard to see. This line is based off my line that I marked on the floor from my straight across line from door to door. So this is telling me that if I centered, or if I made this line the front of the roll bar and I made it plumb straight up and down. Now I said I may sneak the bar forward or backward just a hair to kind of follow this pillar a little bit, because right now the laser line is plumb, but the car isn't necessarily level like I showed you before. I don't know, technically it's going to go down in the front for ride height, but anywho, I digress. This is telling me that if I put the front of the roll bar at the laser, it would pretty much stay right behind the pillar. Now the roll bar is 1 3/4 inches. The pillar, once I get the trim on there, is about 2.5 inches. So 2.5 minus 1 3/4, that's 3/4 an inch difference. So technically I could move it back, move the front of the bar back 3/4 an inch from this line and still be behind this. So I think I'll either split that in half, that would be 3/8. So if I moved it 3/8 back from center, or 3/8 back from, yes, 3/8 further back than that, then it would, I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm thinking about, but I can't explain it, I guess. So I can move it back 3/4 an inch and be behind here, or I'll split that difference. It'll end up kind of centered in the color. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if it makes any sense. I'll probably split that difference. So here's my front of the bar. I'll move it back 3/8 of an inch, to the front of the bar. So then I'll find center of the bar, and then that's where I'll drill the hole. Now I still got to find left and right too, but that's what I'm coming up with forward and backward. And like I said, then once we have the bottom, I mean, it's all close enough. We're going for close enough. So once that'll be close enough, and then we can, like I say, we can lean it a hair forward or a hair backward. Looks like we'll have to lean it a hair backward to totally follow that pillar. Ballpark. We're going for ballpark. All right, we're still struggling or trying to figure out where to cut our holes. So my initial line that I showed you guys, I came up with, I think, 1 1/4 back from that line. I did some math. Not my strong suit, but we're going for close. So I think I got this close enough, so I went with 1 1/4 back from this line to give me the center of the bar. Now I had to figure out left and right. So anyways, I drew a new line 1 1/4 back. And then, again, there's just no way to, you can't just run a tape measure across here because there's a transmission or a drive shaft hump. But I guess that's what I did. I ran a tape measure across above the transmission hump, or make you guys dizzy while I do that. So basically I measured like so. And I came up with like 64 3/8 from door pillar to door pillar. The center of the hoop is 54 3/4. So again, I had to use some, figuring in my head, do some math, carry the 1, whatever, divide by 6, count your fingers, all that stuff. And then I came up with, I subtracted the size of the cross hoop from the size of the opening, then divided that in half. And I used my little laser here unscientifically. Once I had the tape measure across here like so, stretched all the way across, and then I knew how much I needed to subtract from this side, and that gave me a line. I tried to, this line can be, whoa, you're kind of crazy here, but I tried to make it square. Anyways, it gave me this mark right here for how much I had to subtract from the size of the opening to the size of the hoop. So that should be the center of the hoop. Then I measured how far I had to go here, 5 1/8 to that mark. Went over to the other side, measured 5 1/8 off the inner quarter panel, and gave myself a mark over there. And then I had to try to figure out how to verify that, because again, I can't just run a tape measure across there and see what it is. So I grabbed the old plumb bob and I plumb bobbed it down, and that actually ends up plumb off just the side of the pillar here. I made a mark, and so then I measured down off that side and made a mark and measured across there, and bada boom bada bing, it was the same, or real close to the same as the center hoop. So I think it's close, but then I decided, well, let's verify by actually putting the hoop in here. All right, I am in the car, struggling to hold up the main hoop. But this was my way of verifying my little marks there. The main hoop obviously doesn't fit in here because it has to get cut down and go through the floor. But I got my center marks on there, and you can't see them because, like I said, I use black marker. But I can see them, and we're good on there, and we're pretty good on there. So I know I'm at least ballpark, real close to, left, right, centered in the car, and where the holes got to go. So I'm confident enough after throwing the bar in here that I think we'll drill some holes. But I got to run and grab a 1 3/4 hole saw because I ain't not got one of those. So I'll be back. Well, it's time for the part that I always struggle with. I've done all my head scratching. You saw me do my very unscientific measuring, and I came up with a couple spots where I'm going to drill some holes. And now I just gotta trust myself and drill the holes, I guess, and then hope it's right. All right, the roll bar is 1 3/4 inch tube. I was gonna use a 1 3/4 inch hole saw, but there's a very good chance that I'm not gonna be exactly right on. And now that I think about it, the main hoop has to kind of come in at an angle because it's too tall to fit in here. So the hole is going to need to be, a little bit bigger because the tube's going to be, coming in like so. So I have a 1 7/8 and I have a 2 inch. I should probably just use a 2 inch because not only does it have to be at a slope or an angle, but my marks are probably not exactly perfect. I mean, they could be. I'm a pretty smart guy. Probably not. I think I'll use 1 7/8 and then I can always, I think, what would it be like the front side, because it's coming in at an angle, will have to be kind of opened up a little bit more. I can just do that with like a carbide bit or something. I don't know, enough. I'm delaying, I'm procrastinating. I'm scared to drill the holes. Okay, I said it, I'm scared. I think we're good, so what the hell, let's go for it. You ready? Yeah, me too, I guess. Sure. All right here's my proposed mark, and I'm super confident, so let's just get to it. All right, maybe I'm not that confident, but I'm pretty sure this is somewhere close anyways. I don't know. One way to find out, I guess. Well, shoot, that's not gonna work. Gotta go get a different drill. Here we go. Holy cow. Sorry, that was bad. We got a hole. Here we go with one more hole that may or may not be in the right place. We're hoping it's in the right place. All right, you guys wait there. I'm gonna go grab the main hoop and we'll see if that's gonna work. One thing that doesn't really work is my shoulder still, so that's making it a little harder. All right, back. Can't get it in the door. How am I going to get it in the holes? Woohoo! Look at there! Somehow I put the holes in the right spot. I knew it the whole time. I was super confident. Well, I mean, I guess the bar fits in the holes. I'm not saying for sure that they're in the right spot. Hopefully it's going to end up somewhere is where I want it. Right behind the pillar there. By gum and by golly, I think that's gonna work. So now we just got more, more head scratching to do to figure out where to cut it off on the bottom, how tall it's gonna be, all that good stuff. So I'll try to figure out how I'm gonna figure that out. And then we'll come back for more. Let's take a peek underneath. Just show you guys that don't know. Like I said, the frame is way inboard of where the roll bar comes out, so that's why we have that 2x3 box tube that we'll weld to the frame and make a little outrigger, it's called, for that to sit on. So guess right now I got to figure out some way to hold the roll bar up at the actual height it's going to be, so I can figure out how this whole outrigger is going to work and where I need to cut this off. And I only have one good arm, so hopefully I can figure out a way to use some clamps or straps, or maybe I can put a 2x4 or a piece of metal or something underneath the roll bar and then jack it up from the center. I don't know, more head scratching. We'll come up with something, maybe. Well, I came up with a not so genius way to hold the bar up. I just kind of found this strapping I had laying in the bottom of the toolbox. Cracked the windows down and tied it around the post. And it's not perfect. I gotta do some shimmying it around. It's a little taller on that corner than it is that corner, but I think this will work to give me an idea what I gotta do, and take a peek down here and see how much we gotta cut off and come up with a plan for the outriggers. I came up with one more addition to my homemade hold your roll bar in place puzzle. We still got the straps here. I had to kind of finagle them a little bit, loosen them up a little bit because it was sucking it too tight this way. But now I have some jack stands under here. Lost my light. And you can see that's holding the roll bar up now, and then the straps are just kind of there to keep it from wanting to fall forward or backward and come crashing down inside the car here. I got to do a little more precision work, but she's pretty much, I think, where I want it. I do know that it has to be the roll bar. This is NHRA regulations. Again, look it up for yourself. Don't quote me because I'm going by memory, which might be good, might not be good. I think it has to go with it. It has to be within 3 inches of the top of your helmet or within 1 inch of the roof of the car. Something to that effect. Because I know in the 57, it's actually technically too low. I got to lower my seat to get my helmet to roll bar in the right spot because it is several inches, or it's a couple inches to the roof of the car. So now my helmet's got to be within 3 inches of the roll bar. Something to that effect. Check it out for yourself to find out for sure. But so I'm gonna go as tight as I can, and we're about 1 inch right here. So I think probably this is good. Right now I just got to decide if I'm not going to be able to get a lens cover on the dome light, how it is right now. And I got to decide if I care about that. Probably not super concerned about that. I might play with it a little bit and see if I come down 1/2 inch. That might help me, I guess. But then I'm not going to be within 1 inch, and then I got to put the seat back in and find out where the top of my helmet is and all that stuff. So probably just going to leave it like this, so I'm pretty sure it's good. So I got to decide if I'm going to leave it like that and then crawl underneath and figure out the Outrigger setup situation type dilemma so we can keep moving forward. And yet again, here's one more upgrade to my roll bar holding system. The patented Montana Garage roll bar holding in place system, coming soon to a website near you. Probably not. I knew I had some of these clamps somewhere. It just took me half a day to find them. So I got rid of the straps. They were kind of hard to tie and get them in the right tightness. I put some zip ties on here just to kind of hold it from falling while I was messing with it. And now the clamps, I got a clamp on each side going through the window side so I can actually close the door and see. But we can see that the bar is right behind the B pillar there. I think I got it almost like where I wanted. It's about the same. I can just barely get my fingers through on both sides. And then we're as high or tall as we can go. Again, the only issue will be the dome lamp, and I'm not too worried about that. Or the dome lamp can still be in there. There just won't be able to be a cover on it, or I'll have to finagle it. I could probably, before I put the roll bar in, I guess I could probably figure this out and maybe scoot it back a hair. There is room on that flat piece of sheet metal there. I might look into that. Probably not. Not too worried about it. Ow, hey, watch your head if you're in here doing this. All right, so where are we at now? Okay, same thing I said the last couple times. We are at figuring out this. Now that we have it where we want it height-wise, I guess I could take a measurement here, figure out how long to cut the Outriggers, then I can bring it over here. It's a 2x3, and the frame I think is about 4 inches, so I'm thinking if I put it flush with the bottom of the frame, hopefully that'll give me enough room to weld the top of the Outrigger. If it won't, we'll just have to cut a hole in the floor to weld it and then patch that back in place or something. But I'm thinking that's why I'll put it not flush with the top but flush with the bottom, and that might give me a chance to weld it. We'll have to see once I get a piece in there. So because I haven't done this before, I spend way too much time, you know, head scratching and trying to figure out and second guessing myself. But really, I mean, a guy's just got to go for it sometimes, you know. Obviously, if I knew what I was doing here, or if you have done this before and you know what you're doing, you probably could have had this all welded in place by now. But I'm taking my time, trying to make sure I don't screw anything up. And eventually we'll get there. Where we're at today, we're back on trying to figure out the... Does anybody else's brain shut off every time I start trying to talk to somebody? These, Outriggers.